The clock on the wall of the children's ward ticked softly, its rhythmic sound mingling with the faint beeping of monitors and the occasional rustle of bedsheets. Outside, a drizzle tapped against the large hospital windows, blurring the gray skyline. Inside, room 12 was unusually still. Two small hospital beds stood side by side, each occupied by a child who, in any other place, might have been laughing, playing, and running through open fields. But here, their world was reduced to white sheets, 4 drips, and the tender care of strangers. On the left bed sat a boy named Oliver, 6 years old, with curly blonde hair and a pair of solemn blue eyes that had seen more than most children his age should. His small hands fidgeted with the blanket, but his gaze kept drifting towards the other bed. In that bed sat a little girl, perhaps a year younger than Oliver. Her name was Emily. She had the same curl in her hair, the same delicate features, yet Oliver had never seen her before yesterday. Between them, a man sat on a stool, leaning forward, speaking in a low voice to Oliver. His name was Daniel, Oliver's father. He was trying to explain something far too big for a boy's heart to fully understand. And at the other bed, a nurse knelt down, holding Emily's cheeks gently in her hands. She pressed her lips to the child's forehead, then to her cheek, and then again, as if each kiss was a lifeline. Her eyes glistened, though her voice was calm, almost soothing. Her name was Sarah. Sarah had been working in pediatrics for almost 12 years. She had learned long ago to smile when it hurt, to comfort parents when she herself wanted to cry, and to stand firm when bad news came. But this was different. Because Emily was not just a patient. Emily was Sarah's daughter. It had taken Sarah years to get to this point, to stand in the same room as her child. 12 years earlier, Sarah had been a 19-year-old girl with dreams of becoming a nurse. She had been young, naive, and in love. But life had turned unexpectedly cruel. After a series of difficult events, she had found herself pregnant and alone. Her family, struggling with their own hardships, could not support her. She had made the most painful decision of her life, to give her baby up for adoption. It was supposed to give her daughter a better future, a home with 2 loving parents, financial stability, and a chance at happiness Sarah felt she couldn't provide at the time. The adoption was closed, meaning she would never know where her daughter went or who raised her. All she could do was hope. But over the years, Sarah had never stopped wondering. Every birthday, she lit a candle and whispered a prayer for the little girl she had held for only a few days. Now, 12 years later, the truth had come knocking in the most unexpected way. Emily had been admitted to the hospital after a car accident that had injured her leg. Nothing life-threatening. But she needed surgery and post-operative care. The moment Sarah saw her name on the patient list, her heart had skipped a beat. It was an unusual name. The same name Sarah had chosen for her baby girl all those years ago. When she first walked into the room, she tried to remain professional. But then Emily had turned towards her, and Sarah saw it, the same hazel eyes, the same little dimple in the left cheek. It was like looking into a mirror of the past. She had checked the medical file later, hands trembling. The birth date matched exactly. There was no doubt. This was her daughter. Over the next few days, Sarah found herself drawn to Emily's bedside whenever she had a spare moment. She brought her extra pillows, read her stories, and made her laugh with silly impressions. But there was a complication: Emily was not alone. She had a foster father, Daniel, and a foster brother, Oliver. They were not her biological family, but they were clearly devoted to her. Sarah noticed how Daniel's eyes softened whenever Emily smiled, how he patiently helped her eat, how Oliver shared his toys without being asked. They were a family, even if not by blood. One rainy afternoon, Sarah overheard Daniel talking quietly to Oliver. "She's not your sister by birth, Ollie," Daniel was saying, "but she's part of our family now. We're going to take care of her." Oliver frowned. "But why doesn't she live with her real mum?" Daniel hesitated, glancing over at Emily's bed, where Sarah was gently adjusting the blanket. She had to make a hard choice," Daniel said softly. "Sometimes love means letting someone go, so they can have a better life." Sarah's throat tightened. She wanted to speak, to explain, to tell the truth, but she couldn't. Not yet. The next morning, Emily woke up early. The ward was quiet. She looked at Sarah and asked, "Nurse Sarah, do you have children?" The question hit like a stone to the chest. Sarah smiled faintly. "Why do you ask, sweetheart?" Emily shrugged. "You kiss me like a mummy would." Sarah blinked back tears. She leaned forward, cupping Emily's face in her hands, and kissed her softly. "Some children," she said, her voice breaking, "are so special, they get loved twice as much." At that moment, Daniel entered the room. He stopped in the doorway, watching the scene. Something in Sarah's tone, something in the way she looked at Emily, made his eyes glisten. Later that day, Daniel approached Sarah in the corridor. "Can I talk to you?" They sat in a small staff break room. Daniel folded his hands, hesitating. "I don't know how to say this," he began. "But, are you Emily's birth mother?" Sarah's breath caught. "Why would you think that?" Daniel sighed. "It's the way you look at her. The way she looks at you. And, when we first brought her here, she didn't want to stay in the hospital. But with you, she feels safe." Sarah's hands trembled. "Yes," she whispered. "I'm her mother. I gave her up when she was born. I didn't have a choice." Daniel studied her for a moment, then nodded slowly. "I think, maybe she was meant to find you again." Over the next week, Sarah and Daniel agreed not to overwhelm Emily with the truth too soon. But they let their time together grow. Sarah spent lunch breaks with her, told her stories from a long time ago that were really about her own childhood, and brushed her hair the way she remembered doing on that first, brief week of Emily's life. Finally, on the day Emily was discharged, Daniel asked Sarah if she wanted to walk them to the car. In the car park, with the soft drizzle still falling, Sarah knelt beside Emily one last time. She kissed her cheeks again and again, memorizing the warmth, the scent of her hair, the sound of her giggle. "Why are you crying, Nurse Sarah?" Emily asked, touching her cheek. "Because," Sarah said, smiling through tears, "sometimes the truth makes people cry, even when it's a happy truth."